As we speak, literally people are unfriending me. They're blocking me. They're like, oh, I guess I know where he stands. Cancel. Fuck it. It's like,
keep it in, please.
Have you gone to the bathroom for the last 2 or 3 days? Like,
I have a bottle.
American politics is wow. That's just that is a rabbit hole.
So Matt,
there's a little angry here, a little more like, okay,
you know. Please don't hit me. Oh man, no, I'm happy you're here though. You know, that's fine.
I hope so.
I'm really happy you're here. So
I'll leave if you want.
I would just talk to myself. No, absolutely. So yeah, so we start the podcast laughing, and that's perfect. Actually, let's just start it like this, Matt. I'm so happy to have you here. About 2 years ago, I have the chance to meet you, to be honest, right? I really, I really was impressed by you when we met, and, through common friends that we got introduced, and we had a very nice evening, a lot of laughs, in Warsaw. It was like a hot spring night or something like this. Yeah. So it was really cool moment. And then you told me what you do, right? You told me that you are in the film industry, and, because I have no art in me whatsoever. I mean, I can enjoy it, but I'm really not a creative guy. So therefore, all the people that can do such things, I'm always in awe, right? Super impressed, right? So, and I loved, the profile and, your journey. People might wonder, why do we want to hear about a film director, in the French tech, right?
Sure.
But
I'm also curious. Let's figure it out. We'll get to the bottom of this.
Let's try to get there. So yeah, the whole idea of that was basically understanding that AI right now is fundamental to our life. So I know it's annoying for everyone listening and, watching this. Yeah, AI. But the reality is that, when you basically build railways, that's what everyone was talking about. Yeah, because it was, structural to how the economy would change and how people would do things. And I think AI now is exactly that, right? So basically managing to connect it to culture and to creation and to artistic, minds. I think that's extremely interesting. And to where do we draw the line? Where is it art, where is not? All these things. And I think that's what brings us today, to have this discussion together. And I couldn't think of a better person to have this discussion with, because I know how much, maybe I'm gonna, sell it a little bit here, but how much you are into trying to understand how this thing can impact, your sector and so on. And so first, of course, for everyone here, I want them to learn who you are. So we would love to, and then we can absolutely dive into the little nitty gritty of that, right? So
the nuances, of course.
Absolutely. So can you tell us a little bit, how do you end up, from California to Warsaw? How do we get here? Whatever, you feel interesting for us to know about you.
Sure. So I'm from California, from Silicon Valley, born and raised. My parents are Polish, so Poland and Polish has always been it's been a part of my life. But Silicon Valley, weirdly enough, it's I always felt like very like I'm a foreigner in Silicon Valley, because I was always creative, interested in cinema and art, and then I went down that path. So I went to Los Angeles. I studied humanities and writing, and then. And essentially, it's like I was getting farther and farther away from Silicon Valley. And so, but creativity was always the main thing. I ended up, actually, there was a moment where I lived in China. My father, he was living in China. Okay. And after I finished university.
You told me that story, actually. You tried yourself into business in China, right?
Yeah, I was the right hand of my father, who worked he essentially ran a furniture factory. Yeah. And so at that point, he was trying to groom me to become his right hand. And there was 6 months in near Guangzhou, China, after university. And then another 6 months in the distribution center in Los Angeles, or near Los Angeles. And after about a year, he's like, all right, well, now is the time. So, son, I have groomed you. You have been groomed to be the
feels very royal thing, what I mean?
It does. It's
take this, Simba, everything that is in the in the light is yours,
All of this can be yours. And then but secretly after a 12-hour day, I was going home and watching movies and reading. And, I caught up on a whole bunch of movies that everybody should, everyone should watch. And then so after a year of doing this, where he's like, hey, so now I'm going to give you the keys to the castle, essentially. You're going to be my partner, and we're going to have furniture all around the world, and this is going to be what we do. Well, I didn't tell him that I secretly applied at the Polish film school at this time, or like right before this, and I got into the Polish film school.
Okay.
And so it was like, that hard pill to swallow for dad, where it's like, hey,
he didn't know anything. He thought that you basically stopped that part and you just focused on the.
I mean, there was, he knew that I was like into cinema, and this was always my goal. But in his mind, it was always like, before you go into this creative world, because, so few people can really do, make a career out of cinema and film and anything like this, anything creative. He's like, well, you're going to become a businessman with me. And then you're going to, find your way as a businessman. And then you're going to go into cinema after 5 or 10 years when you're a real millionaire. Right. And so, of course, this is like the father's dream, like the immigrant father's dream of like, for his son. And then, but I'm like, screw that. It's like, I don't want to be in furniture any longer. It's in itself, there's a creativity to business. Of course, I see that now more than ever. But the Polish film school was kind of my calling. So that was the first time I lived in Poland, which is now over 15 years ago. But actually that experience, and Poland was as you know, it's like Poland was very different in 2005, 2006 than it is now. So that's like almost 20 years. Shit.
You know what? It's okay.
Okay.
Don't cut it. Keep it.
So it's, and that was Łódź also. Łódź is a very
I know.
strange...
I lived in Łódź, so I really relate to that. Let's not get into it. That's not
that's a whole other story. That'll be the Łódź podcast.
Exactly. That would be a podcast. I don't know if we need 2 days, to just talk about Łódź. But anyway,
the stories. So, but it's funny because a lot of friends that are foreigners, or they're Scandinavians and Americans who I met at that time, they actually stayed in Poland, and they saw something that maybe I saw, but I was like, in my mind, I'm like, I have to go back to the States.
Okay.
Because the States that's home. This is my like second home, and I feel good here. I speak the language. I was raised in a Polish home, but it like I went back, and then 15 years later. It's various experiences. I don't know how deep we want to go, but like working in San Francisco, Los Angeles.
As deep as you feel like sharing,
Well, okay, so step by step. And then 3 years passed, there's a pandemic. I'm basically giving my like up-to-date, broad strokes of how I got here now. And so 3 years later, 3 years ago, there was a pandemic. I moved to Poland. And it's funny because yesterday at the event, there was another person I was speaking with.
Because we had the French Tech event yesterday.
Exactly.
Which, would make it the 6th of March, right? Because that's going to go after, that's going to come out later on.
Yep.
And we already had some wine and so on. Yeah, we like, I think we should stop.
It's like, this is a continuation of last night's party. I was like, geez, guys, like, you suck all the juice out of me last night. You expect me to perform?
Some, actually.
The French way. Keep drinking, just talk.
Yeah, it's going to get better.
Eat the cheese. But 3 years ago, pandemic, there was from what I heard, Poland was just much more open, and like the lockdown wasn't as tight there or here as it was in California. And so I was in LA at the time. And I thought, I'm going to take a break and come to Poland. And that break turned into, 3 years. And I like reconnected with a lot of friends that I knew from the Polish film school. And I love it. Like and then I meet folks like you randomly, like on a night out in Warsaw. And then I find out all the cool things you're doing. And then you introduced me to this whole group. And so it's like, it's an adventure. And again, and you said this last night, Poland is one of very few countries that's just rising in terms of, economic growth. Obviously, like politically, everything's weird, like all around the world, but there's something energetic about, even I was in Berlin for the film festival. We can talk about that later too. But I was at the festival talking to people, and I asked them like, so what's the general situation like, and people, they're like, well, there's a lot of like just social unrest, and things are kind of socially, things are going bad. There's always things that are booming in Germany, maybe more than here. But in general, it seems like Poland is a more kind of growing, thriving place full of opportunities. So I've recognized that, and then the AI thing came out. And I'll just kind of touch on that a bit, and then we can dive in. But basically, the AI boom, like a year and a half, 2 years ago.
Did you see it come? somehow, somewhere, because I know you come from Silicon Valley and stuff, right? So, you know, potentially we could think that, but you are an artsy guy, so who cares about tech, right? Fuck it. You see?
It's like
keep
so,
it in, please.
That's a good question.
Yeah. So did you did it hit you in the face, or did you kind of you had some guy saying, listen, there is some stuff coming in, you know, and you have to watch, you know,
well,
out for
it's
that.
funny because I feel in Poland, I kind of jumped on the AI cinema bandwagon pretty early, but then the more people I meet, and that was like a little less than 2 years ago. So, but then I meet people and they're like, yeah, we've been monitoring, we've been close, you know, on AI for 5, 6, 7, 10 years. And
in
then
your sector? In the
not necessarily creativity cinema.
Okay.
Like in Germany, I met a few people that were like already following what's happening with diffusion models and just AI. But really, I feel like I'm late to the game. Like there was a lot of stuff happening.
We all feel late to the game, man. You know, and I'm in tech, right? And I feel that, you know, every day, you know, I'm already, you know, 1 week delayed compared to the information that happened, you know, it's hell.
Yeah, but even now it's like one of the things that I was going to say to answer your question was coincidentally during the pandemic I read a book which for me actually it put a little like seed in my mind, and that was oh my gosh, AI Superpowers by oh boy, his name I forgot.
And the link will appear here. Yeah, we are learning, you know, maybe sell some stuff.
Is it Fukai Lee? Oh, if I slaughtered. So basically, in its AI superpowers, how Silicon Valley and China are kind of in a new Cold War, something like this. And I read that, and it basically that was 2 years before ChatGPT. And that book, it planted the seed, and then I saw it all coming true because it was like within 5 to 10 years, everything is going to slowly change. Jobs, sectors, creativity, machines. I mean, AI, it's like it's going to infiltrate every industry.
Yeah, that's like I told you, like it becomes. I just, you know, to add on like quickly to this is like I have the chance through French Tech to meet a lot of much smarter people than I am, you know, and basically, you know, that they can you know, just teach me things and you know, uplift my knowledge a little bit. And one of the comparison was the fact that AI is very much, as I said at the beginning, like a little bit like railway or like, you know, the Ford system, or, you know, it comes in and basically it's a change. There is a before and there is an after, and it will pay forward. So this is why you see billions being poured in, because everyone understands that it's going to become basically the new layer of productivity, right? No matter what you do, whatever you do, if you think you are escaping it, you won't.
Yeah. And it's so crazy that there are so many people that are like fundamentally, inherently against this thing.
We're gonna dive into that, but there is much more to it, right? There is much more of you know, I think personal fear, ethics, and a lot of things, right? But we'll dive into that. Yeah, the seed came, it took it, right?
Exactly.
And how basically, let's say, how do you feel about it? And then we will get a little bit more into the expertise, right? When it hits you, what are you like? Yeah, exactly. You know, or were you like, okay, how do I, you know, basically block that way?
It was 2023, like right around, let's say even like October, November is when I was starting to do some prompting on Midjourney. And, you know, and I'm already seeing a whole bunch of stuff on my social media come up with like very wild looking images that are all Midjourney generated. And so at that point, it's like I started kind of observing what's going on. There were a few early films, like AI films on YouTube that got some attention, some press. And that's when, and they were messy early AI, but you know, you see somebody's creativity coming through this new way, or this new tool, right? New way to kind of make films. And then I just started following that little thread. And then like January 2024, like the first 3 months, I signed up for a course just to add to my knowledge, because I was already.
Course of what? AI course?
It was an AI. It was a Curious Refuge AI cinema course.
So already you had then in your sector AI related courses for cinema. So not so back, you know, in terms of penetrating straight away the market, yeah?
So yeah, Curious Refuge, which is a story unto itself, like what they're doing, what they've done. They were like the leaders in a sense of spearheading this whole movement of AI cinema and like bringing this awareness. and there was already some articles, some like pretty big like Deadline, Hollywood Reporter, which covered a few AI projects like commercials, films. So it was like bubbling up already.
Mhm.
And if you're kind of observing what's happening, you're seeing this. But so 2024 for me was just explore, experiment,
Mhm.
and then I made a few films.
Did you?
I made a few films. Those films got like shown at a very interesting art exhibit, which
using AI as a tool of creation, or using it in the
Yes.
productivity? Because that's one thing that also we have to, because we had this discussion, right? You said something, I don't know if you can share it here, but maybe we'll see after a couple of wines.
I forgot what we're going to talk about.
But
Where are we going with this?
About the productivity thing, right? Where
Okay.
like AI being a tool for production, so creating things, or being a productivity tool where we know it's already a productivity tool. So you arrive on the set of a movie, film, and you are like, with AI productivity tool, basically 80% of you are unnecessary, so that's what my question is.
You want to go there now?
No. But my question was like, did you use it for those movies that you made? Did you use it as an production tool, right? You created things with it, or you used it to be more productive? If you understand the difference.
Yeah. Well, so in this case, it was a tool that shows up. I'm playing with it. I'm experimenting.
Okay.
And then I thought, okay, I'm gonna just make a film. So it's like the goal was, it's not like, oh, I want to make a film, I have to figure out how to do it. It was like, oh, I'm in post production on a few different projects simultaneously that are they started off as traditional projects and then they became AI projects, and we can talk about that. But now I see this tool coming out. I took this. It was a 1-month course. We made a few projects, and then I'm like devouring all the AI podcasts. Curious Refuge is a big tool. There's a few other tools that are a few other podcasts about AI cinema that I was just, and it's funny because like a few AI friends that I have, it's a similar
AI
thing.
friends. So you don't have real friends. You use like you basically created AI friends.
I'm telling you, they exist. They're real now. You can't tell me otherwise. No, they're real. I don't care what you say.
I love the AI friends.
So let me rephrase that. Friends who are also as obsessed and nerding out on AI. They're humans. I mean,
remember, I'm not a native English speaker, right? I just gotta, take everything you tell me.
I don't even know. You may be AI too. You may be an avatar. There's that idea. Like it's all a simulation.
Yeah.
Which, so it's.
Let's not go there today.
Yeah. It's like that's another podcast.
Yeah, that's all shit.
That podcast has been done.
Oh yeah, so many times, And I think you have someone in the White House that actually has been elected on that base, right?
It's like we are now in that like rabbit hole. We are going into that rabbit hole. All of us, the world.
Exactly.
American politics is wow. That's just that is a rabbit hole.
Let's talk about art.
Let me just say this: like the obsession that came from the early AI experiments was an obsession that I don't remember that level of obsession. And maybe since I was a little kid, and when you just like really geek out on something, and like whether it's comic books or drawing or like video games, like your new video game came with like SNES or Genesis or something. It's like you would just spend, your parents are like, you have to eat, It's like, have you gone to the bathroom for the last 2 or 3 days? Like,
I have a bottle.
So it's like that same level of intensity. So I suddenly felt like an obsessed little kid geeking out on AI tools. And then I realized like, oh shit, this is like a whole new world is opening up. And so that was my beginning. But then I followed that wave, and it's taken me pretty far. I mean, essentially, it's like in some ways I'm here because of this wave. But I also had a TED talk about AI. I went to Berlin, the film festival, to talk about AI on a cool panel there. I spoke to the Producers Guild in Poland, Kipa Summit. I spoke about AI there. So it's like suddenly I just geeked out. I saw something. I observed it. I jumped on it. Just because
you didn't ask yourself questions, right? You just were like, "That's the new, toy, and let's just go into it," right?
Exactly. And so, and then again, it's like there's no morality issue at that point. We can talk about the morality of the industry and all this, but it's just sheer curiosity and wonder. And another a word that came up yesterday with a few people, it was awe. Like how, like we all really just want to be in awe of something. And anything that makes us go like, wow, awe, we're awe inspired. We need to follow that thing. And so for me, it was AI. And there wasn't a question about, is this defeating cinema? Is it against cinema? It's like, I'm a creative person. I like, stories and technology more and more now because of AI. And then I just followed that path. So it's
amazing. Everyone, but since ever with tech in general, we love to talk about revolution, right? Like everything is a revolution, but oh shit, I'm gonna say it. Yeah, it is. It's there, right? Like so, let's put a question mark on it, right? Just to be politically correct in the here. Maybe people will disagree, right? So let's put a question mark on it. And from your point of view, right? Because also what I didn't say is that you did a TEDx, talk not long ago, which was basically
about AI cinema.
Absolutely.
And it's about the revolution.
Absolutely, right. And it will be also in the description, right?
Yeah. How AI is the next revolution in cinema. I think that's the name.
So you see, we are right on point here, right? And so the whole thing is like from what when you are at the forefront of something, right? Like whatever it is, and even more here in a sector that is so dominant by human creation, and it feels that art has to be produced by a human, right? And it cannot be seen otherwise. It's kind of low level potentially. How basically you see this problem right now, where AI can be a tool, right? Either a production tool or productivity tool, depending, right? And AI as a creator, right? Like how do you basically manage to make that little differentiation? Is it an integral part of art, as you see it, or how is it perceived on the market, or what is the splits that you see?
Sure.
Or if it's absolutely not.
I see where you're going, and it's like it's weird because whenever there's something new that comes up, it's like it's very divisive. Yeah. It's like they're like, it's either good or bad. It's not human. It's human. And it's like you literally there's like camps of people now where some are just, AI is going to destroy human creativity. Like, just let's, and you go overly dramatic. It'll destroy art and cinema and humans. What are we for if we can't create with our bare hands and we need to do a machine? And then but then at the same time, there's this another idea, which is everything that we make on this planet is a human creation. Whoa, blows your mind. Yeah. Like, we make computers. We're not outside of computers. Computers are they come from us.
Exactly.
So technology is an extension of human creativity.
So was AI here, or was it, created? Yeah.
Well, so that's another great. You want me to answer that?
Like, no, I'm just I
have an answer. Let me answer that.
Okay, go for it. Answer it. I see your eye twinkling a little bit.
Get back to that. Like, I'm going to answer it. Don't make me break this glass. I'm like, you put my foot down.
Go. Wine, that's fine.
I'm already like spilling wine over
here. That's all good.
It's
all, no worries.
So, but basically, it's like, and this is just, I heard this really cool thing, and I don't know if this is true or not, but it's like a fantastic idea.
Yeah.
So essentially, this idea of artificial intelligence, did we create it, or are we simply? And just a side note, is this now even artificial intelligence to begin with? There are many people that say this is machine learning. It's connecting dots and ideas, and it's actually just very sophisticated machine learning. And if you get enough of these machines connecting the dots, some seeming meaning comes out of it, but it's not doing what humans do. Yeah. Supposedly the next step, AGI, is where there is thinking machines that can think outside of us.
Can you define AGI? Can you
artificial general intelligence? Where yes, so that's what you
self-learning and
where it basically thinks on its own, and it has its own theory of mind. Absolutely. And it has its own kind of perception. Yeah. And maybe it's a very different perception. So, but the point I was making is that, do we create these things, or do we just expand technology in a way that actually leads us to a sort of new intelligence that has always existed, but we have not had the technology and the sophisticated tools to tap into that intelligence?
Absolutely.
So it's like, suddenly maybe our abilities are allowing us to tap into new levels of intelligence.
Yeah.
And if we look at it that way, then it's no longer it's not created by human, it is created by human. Instead, it's life is a total mystery, and we are uncovering the mystery. And in uncovering the mystery, we find new ways to create. And so now when we're creating, the algorithm still has to receive an input, which is human, and then out comes an output, which is still human. It just goes through a different system.
Absolutely.
So anyway, so it's like, I love this stuff. Keep going. Keep bringing.
Yeah. So, but then how do you? So let me dig a little bit this, right? Because basically you are. I mean, it's very obvious where you're standing, right? You know what I mean? You're like, defending the parts that, or maybe you want to say it, right? Where you're standing, with is AI art, right? Does it create, help art? I'm throwing you there in the middle of this.
You're like, take a side and fight to the death.
Now,
are you ready to fight to the death?
Otherwise, my podcast won't buzz. I need controversy. We need drama.
There's a knife. Are you ready to jump on it and bleed out?
Please do.
I'm like, geez, right on television. Like, look at the cameras. Like,
all right. So So let me.
But I like the simplification. That's what people need. They kind of need this.
Definitely.
I remember
everyone is there. Those, my mom and your mom and a couple of other people are watching and say, where Matt is standing. Is he standing?
They're like, where does he stand on this issue? And then literally, like,
those 4 people are gonna absolutely, they're waiting.
As we speak, literally, people are unfriending me. They're blocking me. They're like, oh, I guess I know where he stands. Cancel, cut. No, but it's crazy. But that's the truth, though. I've had a few of these conversations with people, and they're like, but what about, but here's the thing. I see the validity in their points when they say, well, what about actors? Where are actors gonna, like, what's gonna happen to actors?
Yeah.
And honestly, it's like it's like the same thing happened when silent cinema was suddenly disturbed with sound.
Yeah.
And so many people lost. Rudolph Valentino is like a classic case of a superstar. He was like the Brad Pitt, Johnny Depp or something of the Timothy Chalamet of silent cinema.
Okay.
And then suddenly voice comes and it's like, oh wow, the dude isn't a good speaker. He can't say good things. I mean,
sorry for laughing. I imagine the first take when there's this sound.
Everyone's like, sorry, dude. Like, we need to have a talk. Can we step into the green room for a second, or the trailer? It's like, God. Bro, like, you've been doing this for a while. We need to talk about, like, your voice. And,
no,
excuse me.
That's cool.
So anyway, but anyway, so it's like, the truth is a lot of people lost their jobs, and it was horrible because there's families that are disrupted. There's an industry that has suddenly shifted.
Yeah.
And so it's not like that with AI right away. So it's like, now we're in a similar place where it's some people are going to lose their jobs.
Yeah.
But if you are one of those people that adapts with the times, because that's another big issue, it's like there's always adaptation that is necessary.
Are you willing or not? Right? Are you willing to adapt or not? Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm on the camp of like, we need to adapt.
Yeah.
And this is a part of, now we are in this, you said this very well. It's like, you got to adapt with the times. And now we're doing that.
The adaptation process, I think, as you said, very, very nicely, like it hits us each time that we basically face a change, right? There is that resistance. We know that there is that resistance. And I'm sorry, but there is always people that are a little bit left on the side, right? Because basically they stick to, without giving here any moral lessons or whatever, everyone is, I would say the owner of their own decision and, responsible for their own lives, right? But, the fact that you want to stick to what was compared to what will be or what is in this case, right? It's always a complicated fight because, when you are someone that looks forward, right? It's hard to sometimes even give credibility to someone that wants to hold back, right? Can you make a parallel, for example, with, here you can see my cinema knowledge, right? Sure. When CGI arrives, right? And maybe were there people talking about, even more. CGI and this rejuvenating, technology where Robert De Niro can play himself when he was 20 years old, and then when he's 40, and then when he's now. And people like screaming that, actors won't have a job, or, CGI will actually change because you can basically just put people in. And did you feel, that it's at the same level or is it even worse?
Well,
I mean, the fear, I'm meaning, like the fear of the people and the change and so on.
Yeah, so like I can break that apart in a couple ways, because like first of all, like the core issue here is it's not new, and it's literally I read this thing that's just kind of blew my mind. It's like all of human history can be simplified into 2 forces: the force for preservation and the force for innovation. And these two forces are constantly at odds with each other. And like literally all of history and time is just, and culture and everything is kind of fighting in this, this is the duality or the juxtaposition, the fight, the conflict. And it's funny because there's people that hold very dearly to one side or another. And it's like now
I think we are also in our, in our own way, we are kind of holding to the extreme on one side and, against the guys on the other side.
But at the same time, it's like, I think as this is where I'm going to sound smart, or going to try to sound smart. As a storyteller, it's like we need to recognize the forces that are always at work. And we need to tell stories about these forces without making a decision about this force being better, this force being worse, because there's pros and cons to each force.
Yeah.
So it's like, we are constantly innovating. Technology is just exponentially since the beginning.
And in the cinema, do you feel that the innovation is, the CGI, what we talked about and so on, but do you have other innovation coming in that are not just AI and that have to be integrated, are well received?
But let's go back for a moment. It's like there's silent cinema. That was disrupted because of radio technology. And also homes were, and just general electricity was getting into people's homes. Suddenly everybody's listening to the radio. So everybody has a new medium in their homes. So when they go to the cinema, actually the cinema is now outdated. It's not representative of the times and the technology. So it's like cinemas, again, some people were all about, this is the pure cinema. It's silent. There's just music. And that was enough. But again, it's like cinema should be reflective of the times. So then color photography came out. So suddenly color cinema follows. Computers in the 70s and 80s.
Did you have the same problem with color also? No. Did you? No.
Personally, I mean,
no, you. I mean, you're not that old. You
see all these gray hairs? Like, it's happening.
But I mean, like in cinema, was it, also an issue? Because I would say that's such an improvement for everyone, right? It's just colors, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe people were not so pretty in colors. I don't know.
It's like, there's blemishes or something. But like there were purists. There's always the purists, the diehard purists.
Yeah.
Color is just, it's cliche. It's not authentic. It's not, raw or something. So it's like there will always be, again, people want to pick sides and you have to choose your camp, right?
That's what we're doing today.
So, you're the red wine, I'm the white wine. So you've noticed you're only eating the red grapes, I'm eating the white grapes.
I don't know. It's not sure. That's human being, that's
and then the same thing with computers. Computers, again, an extension of human innovation and human creativity. It makes computers. Then cinema adopts the new technology. So now we're in the time of AI. It wouldn't make sense to just abandon society embraces AI on so many levels, and yet if cinema was a purist art form on 100%, then it's just like, no. We're going to stick to the way we've been doing it because we've figured it out. There's no room for improvement here. We know the way to make cinema. So therefore, let's just eliminate the idea of AI. And that's, and the weird thing is I've talked to people who think this way and they're like, there's no reason for AI. It's going to dehumanize this.
Can we give their basically age range? Are we talking about
you want names?
No.
Throwing people under the bus?
I'm just trying to understand. Are we talking, like this purist aspect and this blogger? Is this coming from,
all across the board?
Okay, that's what I wanted to know, right? Are we talking about, it can be younger than us, right? Us and older, or it can be just basically a certain trend, right? Just to define where we are standing.
Sure. And so let me also say this, and I'm going to do a little plug for one of my projects too, because this is how I got some
You're not paid
info.
for that. I mean, in wine, so you can go for it.
Okay. Product placement.
Go for it.
So basically one of the projects the reason why I feel like I can speak with some authority here, or let's just say authority, not just from talking like small talk in bars and stuff, but basically with a buddy, with his ad agency, Rafał Solski, and his ad agency, John Weston Group. We went to California and we shot a documentary. We interviewed a bunch of people in Silicon Valley and Los Angeles, from like Hollywood executives to Hollywood filmmakers, to tech founders, professors from USC, from Stanford, also like gardeners, yoga teachers, students, kids. We asked a whole bunch of people just very simple questions. Who are you? What do you want? what are you excited about, and what are you scared of in terms of AI?
Wow.
So we talked to all these people, and then in this way, we got a lot of responses. One answer led to a new question, led to a new answer.
Yeah.
So it's like again, it goes back to that idea, like, do some people fear the innovation or do some people embrace the innovation? And it's like, it's hard to say that like people in this age range are for, people in this age range are against.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a very human thing. It doesn't culture, history, language. We did only ask people in California, but they weren't just, like there were people from everywhere, basically.
Like, I love the approach because I like what you just said right now, that you made a market research, right? Which is crazy, right?
Yeah.
Because let's just remember that this guy is a film director, right? Does not have to do market researches, We can do the market research to understand how AI was basically understood by people and so on, and then try to, basically, let's say, make a mind map, of people and how they think about it and so on. And this is something very entrepreneurial, right? And one thing that I have to say that people tend to forget, and I learned that with a common friend of ours, Magnus.
Okay.
Mayer. Yeah, like
Arneson.
exactly, right. I learned that with him. That I know him for many years, and basically he's the guy that basically made us meet, right?
Yeah.
And I learned that what he does, he's a film director as well, is very entrepreneurial, right? And so saying it right now and showing to the people that it's not about just you sitting in a dark room and having cigarettes after cigarettes and whiskey and creating something and then it becomes an art. That's not that. Seeing him going through it and struggling the same way as I did, right? Like I because I struggle, I'm an entrepreneur, so by default I'm always missing money, resources, objective, everything is missing, right? That's the point of being an entrepreneur, right? Unsatisfied. And then I basically understood that it was the same process with him, but it was even more intense, right? Because it comes up from an idea, a piece of paper, and then you have to make it based on, convincing other people, just like I pitch and I fundraise and so on and so forth, right? Basically here was that all this thing, looking at you and the way that you do it, and I could see also because, I basically stalked you a little bit, in your LinkedIn and so on, all the different things you do, the production houses that you're part of, that you co-founded, the different things, business-wise that you did, which is, people forget that, right? Forget that it's not only about writing something, it's about making it alive, and you need a whole business around it, because it's not because you're an artist that the state will just tell you, you know what, you do whatever the hell you want, you need a production house, you need all this shit too, and then it's all about the role of, humans into that product, into that creation, right? Based on the tools that are now enabling everyone to be an artist if they feel like calling themselves as such, because they created something, using themselves with this tool. So here the question again was, how would you personally, compare the importance of the human, inputs into creating something where I am a donkey that cannot basically draw a car, right? But I can basically right now create something pretty crazy just with a few sentences and so on, when you have spent years and have studied and can create movies, and then I'm gonna bring something to the table and say yours or mine, right? How do we weight this, right? The is it the experience, is the time, is it, how do you see it, how do you perceive it?
So the impulse for creation, it's weird. It's like, it's very strong in some and it's less strong in others. But then what often is rewarded in any industry is not necessarily your just raw talent, your ability to endure and persevere, but it's instead like how you're able to play the game. And so you can play the game and you can get to financing by playing the game. And it's, and there's politics always involved. There's who there's all of these things. And it's like many people get to that point, not with raw talent, but with, it's again, there's some skill involved, perseverance, politics, and you get to this place and then you can create because you get through all the gatekeepers and you're able to make something. because you kind of convinced or scammed enough people. I mean, like in some ways,
I feel the same way
in the field of you know, like of big money corporations, you know, startups. It's like it's a jungle, man. It's ugly. I tell,
it's a cage, man. You have to, you know, like one by one, you put them into the cage, and you should not get knocked out.
And it's like, and people can be very ruthless, and it's like, but you know, you try to have good intentions, and your good intentions are just crushed. And it's like, you know, and
then you're like, oh, I have to be an a-hole.
And then people become a-holes, and then it's just, and it's like, it's brutal. It's really brutal. And so the person who started off as like, you know, an inspired creator artist is crushed. And that's why so many people are bitter in LA. Like there's a beautiful sunshine and smiles, but yet people, like, you know, you talk privately with a lot of people, and it's just like they're crushed. And then suddenly a technology comes out, and it's, you can just create with just prompts. And so suddenly, and then you hit it on the head too. It's like you had a whole career, 20 years of like figuring out how to get to the right people, you know, make your films with the right money and all this. And then it's like, what the there's a dude who can prompt, who's better, who can make better things for less in a weekend than I do in the last 5-6 years. So that's terrifying. And I understand how there's a lot of people who are like, no, this is evil. It's not human. Because there's all those people you had to talk to, and you had to, you know, you had to like you have to create a coalition, just like, you know, you're talking about Magnus. It's like making a film is making a startup, but it's a one-time startup for one product and then next. So it's like, that takes a lot of like effort and skill. But again, somebody can just prompt a movie. And now this is, I think it's incredible.
Funny to say that.
I think it's incredible.
I can prompt a movie. It's just insane.
I mean, not quite a feature film just yet.
Yeah,
but basically, that's the next step. So there's no more gatekeepers. There's no more process of politics. It's just you and a technology, and your creativity comes through the technology. Just like your creativity goes through 5 years of people and, you know, talking, schmoozing, winning people over, you know, inspiring people with your image. It's not just good, there's bad. And that's it can be also an exciting process, a journey. You meet some creative people along the way. They see your vision, they add their vision to it. That's also, it can be a beautiful process.
Of course.
But why not just create with a prompt? Why not? There are moral issues that come into play. We can talk about that.
Ethics and so on. Yeah, we can, you know, get there as well. But go ahead,
So, are we going there now?
No, tell me, like, you know, because I was going to talk about ethics, right? Which is different than moral issues, right? Because ethics and morals, you know, you can be a moral person, not ethic. You can be ethic, not moral. You know, it depends on, you know, where it's. So, you know, on the moral aspect, what are you thinking about here? Yeah.
The biggest concern is that the tools are being trained on.
This is why you're perfect. That's exactly what I wanted to go.
Yes.
I wanted to go to the
biggest issue is, and this is a big concern for a lot of people. It's the tools are being trained on material, on content, on films that are copyrighted, that somebody put a lot of money into, and that is somebody's possession, and any reproduction or any, you know, theft or stealing of that material should be fined, you know, and so a lot of these models are now trained on like just stuff that's available. So it's tricky because I don't exactly know how to bypass that. Like they're already building models that are closed models, not scraping the whole internet and all of human creation to just make a new thing. So those models are like the safe and ethical models.
Are they good? Are they any good?
Well, it really just depends. Like, you know, Runway and Lionsgate are working together to use the data
production
of Lions.
houses, right? Yeah, that's what they are for the people that don't know what are.
Yeah,
those
sorry.
names?
Runway is like one of the kind of, you know, key. It's early, one of the first, you know, really amazing tools that was like a suite of AI cinema tools. You can make images, you can make videos. You can do a lot of post-production, you know, in their kind of suite, let's call it. And then Lionsgate is a distributor, a producer of kind of, it's a small Hollywood company, but it's
small.
I mean, it's like one of the smaller Hollywood players
compared to Warner Bros. And so on.
Exactly, but it's I think I remember correctly that it's a small Hollywood player, and so they teamed up, and basically all of Lionsgate's material, all their content, all their IP suddenly gets scraped. I mean, that's not even scraped. It's just used. It's used to build the model that they're creating, and what comes out of that model, we'll see. But so that's the legit way to do it. And there are companies that are already making their closed models, which is cool. And that's the ethical way to approach this. So that's why there's a lot of people that are like kind of fearful about using AI, because we don't know where this video was, what tool it was used, and what that tool was trained on. So that's the big issue.
Okay, so let me challenge this, right? Let me challenge this a little bit. I will try to not go too far.
Yeah.
But I would say that sometimes, you cannot make an omelet, like sometimes, often, always, you cannot make an omelet without breaking eggs, right? So I would say that, when I get ChatGPT that enables me, for instance, AI, whatever I use, Mistral AI, because it's French tech. So Mistral AI, right? The French, LLM, right? That you should use every day.
I haven't used it. I haven't tried it. So, parlez-vous français?
Anyway, so all those models, right? Whatever their ethics and whatever, we know how they were built. They were built, and mostly let's talk about ChatGPT here, because they basically scrubbed the whole internet, right? Without asking for, permission, And then now, as there is a mass adoption and usage, you're like, do I care that they scrapped everything, right? To bring me that type of, level of,
exactly. How
accuracy?
many people are benefiting from ChatGPT, and yet they don't have some moral issue, or it's a moral issue until it comes to like, oh, I can't use it. Well, I'll still use it, but I have a moral issue with it.
Exactly, right? So that's what I'm saying here is that, if you push it like this, is that, do we really care, about... Of course, I understand the copyright aspect and so on, and that's great that companies are actually opening their, I would say,
there's the
library.
open source models, and then there's also closed models that focus on their own I
niche,
guess, context.
Exactly. And here it feels a lot like this, right? That basically at the beginning there is this strong resistance. Oh, we shouldn't do this. We shouldn't use it, and then it kind of fades away as the products becomes better and better and better, and then people
benefiting from the product.
Absolutely, right? So you're like, oh, do I care then about the moral or the ethics of where that has been built to? And I understand that a lot of people would disagree. Like, let's be honest about it. So many people would disagree with what I'm saying right now, and I'm perfectly aware of it. But I'm just saying, trying to put it into perspective, right? Like saying that those both things could be heard and understood, right? You can perfectly see what I'm standing. I mean, that's something to take into consideration here, right?
Sure. One argument that I've heard, which I kind of I think is very interesting, and it makes a lot of sense. It's like, for instance, there's Quentin Tarantino. There's every single filmmaker.
Take this one.
Smacznego. Bon appetit. So every great filmmaker uses the works of filmmakers from the past.
Oh yeah, you gave me that example.
So it's like, and there's a great Kirby Ferguson who made a whole series maybe 10, 15 years ago. It's called Everything is a Remix. I highly recommend that because it talks about how literally the best movies are recycling the best moments of cinema from other movies. Quentin Tarantino is a master of that. Martin Scorsese is a master of that. George Lucas with Star Wars was a master of that in his time. And it's like, that's just the way art works. We're all standing on the shoulders of giants. We all make an art. We are all inspired by what came before us, and we all make stuff building on top of what came before us. So if that's so noble of humans to do, suddenly when AI, a supposed non-human creation, it's artificial intelligence, it's something else, when it does that, when it uses the all of human content that's ever been created, it's immoral. So I don't have an answer here. I'm just saying, isn't that strange that it works that way? And so of course you can't just copy, like someone can't just rip off a Dali and then say that it's theirs, like Dali, a painting or something, or a Pablo Picasso, or it's like, but you can be inspired by Pablo Picasso.
Absolutely.
You can be inspired, and you can do, in a cubist style, and it doesn't mean you're directly ripping off from the previous cubist. It's just you're inspired by that. And where that line is, when a new technology comes out, when people are very fearful, they find a comfortable justification.
Yeah.
And the line where it's that separation, it's easily justified.
We love that term.
So let's push it all the way. It's all immoral. It's all this way.
Yeah.
And so, but again, I also recognize that this perspective that it seems like we both share is a very
it's always easier for a podcast.
It's a Silicon Valley type of like, it's okay to be disruptive.
Okay.
So meaning it's we embrace innovation. But of course, we should know that with innovation, there's stuff that falls apart. There's stuff that is threatened. There's old systems that are cherished and have been so great for so long.
There is BS.
They all fall apart. I mean, it's like, I'm trying to play like both sides a little bit. So we're not just like, let's just like screw everything and we're all about innovation and technology. Like I'm trying to now balance this out a little bit.
I love it.
So because again, as a storyteller, as an artist, it's like you kind of need to be aware of everything that's going on and how people approach things.
Absolutely.
So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. And actually it allows me to even jump into the next one, which is, bringing the story in the EU, right? Mm-hmm. One of the things that you have as an advantage that we don't is that you get access to tools we don't.
Oh, you mean as an American? But you have a VPN. You can do a VPN.
I know, but let's say that we are not tricking the system, right? Let's say we are, because we talk about
morality,
ethics and morality. That's what we
exactly. I'm moral about this, but like I have a VPN too. So it's like the morality is very slippery.
It's depends on the day, how I wake up. But yeah. But putting this aside, is like the conversation is amazing in the sense that, seeing that some tools, right, are being available for everyone, in the US, right, and they are not in Europe, right, and, if you can basically tell us about a couple of them and how, why so, right, how do you basically assess that this situation is happening, but that some tools are here and, are not here and they are in the US, right, as the originator. Mm-hmm. And as usual, I'm going to, basically fire 3 questions and give you the time to answer.
So, here's the crazy thing. I don't even know how accurately I can answer this right now because it's been a few weeks since I've checked up on stuff.
It can change very
everything
quickly.
It's changing very quickly.
Yeah.
So it's
disclaimer: if we say something that is wrong, right, please do not hate us. Right, some things can happen. We're sorry. We're just humans.
Only human. We're not AI.
Please, sorry.
We're not yet. So, but the thing is, like for instance, Sora.
Yeah.
For a while, at least, maybe still.
I think still.
Sora was not available in Europe. And Sora is OpenAI's video model, which for a long time was anticipated to be the very best, and like it was amazing.
Yeah.
So, but
like everything else they did actually, until some others came to the dance.
Yeah, that's true. Exactly. So
the American storytelling, you guys are good at this.
Well, it's like, and then the other thing about OpenAI and ChatGPT, which is interesting, is then when DeepSeek came out from China, which scrapes like all of ChatGPT. Suddenly, OpenAI has this argument saying, "Oh,
you're scraping our
stuff," and it's like, so. But
come on, guys.
That's the very human drama that's playing out.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so people take sides. People have moralistic issues, and yet when it's just. It becomes very ironic.
It's funny,
and it's all a human drama that's playing out in technology, politics.
Absolutely.
It's the same story.
Absolutely. It's always the same story.
Always the same story.
Absolutely.
So it's like, geez, we're like preaching to the choir here. Like one voice.
Yeah, but all of them, right?
Like, I wonder what's
my mom will agree. Your mom will agree. Yeah, right. Do you?
People out there, lend me your ears, right?
But so, how do you assess the fact that Europe doesn't have access to that, and how do you?
Well, we didn't even answer the question yet. So it's like basically, the AI Act. It has it's like strict limitations, like the fact that things are scraped in some unclear way, that information is used maybe against copyright, suddenly prevents this stuff from getting by the filters. And so therefore it's like OpenAI works globally. They have all their discussions with politicians and local government and stuff. And it's like, oh, Europe, well, it's the AI Act is in place. no, it's a little bit harder to break through there. So we'll just leave it. And that's very representative of European mindset.
Yeah.
It's funny. I saw this like a meme where it showed the innovation of China and the innovation of the US. And it showed basically like robots, like serving humans, pouring wine, like breaking eggs very gently.
Mhm.
And it's like, this is what's happening in the world. And then Europe had this twisty, like the undetachable bottle cap.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Where it's like the bottle
just
like
it stays there.
It stays there, and it's like we're saving the planet. And the rest, China and the world, or in the US, they're basically bringing robots that might destroy the world. And so it's
That's
so ironic.
Sad. That's so sad to say stuff like this.
It's so ironic too. But I saw this meme and I'm like, wow, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an oversimplification, obviously.
No, I
but
understand.
Like, there is some truth to that.
Yeah, it is.
Like 20, 30 years ago, Europe and the US actually had a similar GDP. It was like, it's kind of like equal or similar economic power engines, right? Of just outputs, of GDP. And Europe, it kind of blocked innovation, where the US totally embraced innovation. And the US it's like 3 times bigger in terms of GDP than Europe. So yeah, US is 3 times bigger than Europe is now. And there are pros and cons to it.
Mhm.
Technology, this is not the place of sheer innovation. Although, and now there's a but.
Mhm.
Yeah, but there are so many talents from Europe going to the States.
But that has been a usual thing of, European talents basically being attracted by what is offered in the States in terms of
because
liberty
they don't
of
have
research
exactly.
and execution. And, I think that's a long going, historical aspect of our perception as Europeans, right? To, risk and investments and, losing
innovation.
money and accepting to fail.
Yes,
and, all this is very European, like where the new generation, which I'm kind of part of still, let's say so. Let's accept that, let's say so. Is, basically reshaping, I hope, and bringing this in, saying like, and I that's something that I try to say and express very often, that, you have to fail. I failed so many times. I have been so scrappy. I, tried so many things that were so dumb. Mm-hmm. And at the end, it's not that it brought me what I am, because I'm nowhere, but I'm saying that I feel that I'm actually,
we're doing a podcast.
Exactly. Oh, yeah. That's the height of my life.
If it all goes downhill from here, we made it
this far. Exactly. So that's what I'm saying is like, all these mistakes made me, very confident about making the next mistake. I don't know if it makes sense. But
you're just not afraid.
I'm just going,
it's
you know
just
what?
Okay.
Let's screw this one as well.
It could be worse.
All good, you know?
But
that's very American approach, where the EU, but the millennials, right? And maybe, the younger generation as well is basically, I hope, embracing this more than the previous ones, right? Where, before when you are failing, you are really a failure. Now, now in Europe, it's like, we are looking, even investors, right? Are looking at, I would rather invest in a second-time founder. But you mean the second time? Yeah, he could have failed the first time. Okay. And that changes everything, because before, I'm gonna found a second-time founder that succeeded.
Yeah.
F off. You know what I mean?
Yes. The interesting thing is that in the world of cinema, there is so much emphasis on like youthful talents.
Yeah.
So it's like, or even Forbes is, they're under 30, or like under
25, under 30, under 40.
Or it's like there are European film grants.
Please select me.
There are European film, like there's lots of film grants in Poland, which is like, it's youth in cinema. Yeah. It's like, there's something strangely unattractive about, being over 40 like me. So it's like suddenly
you're gone.
If you, in other words, if you didn't make your mark before 40, well, then you're suddenly dismissed, which is so crazy, because it's
you want to be the first assistant?
It's like basically the culture has everything a little bit mixed up. If you're not a Steve Jobs or an Elon Musk who makes billions in the first 25 years of their life, then like you're basically nobody.
You're a support cast.
Exactly. So this is very strange how this works, and it's very flawed, because the human experience, it's like you imagine maybe accumulating knowledge and experience and failure and is the best lesson. So essentially, I mean, there's a great book about this. It's called Second Act. and it talks about.
From who?
I forget the writer. Oh, boy.
Okay, second ad. We'll have it down here, just right here.
Basically talks about how there is this cult of youth, which is so delusional. Yeah. It's like it expects you to be a genius by the time you're 25. And if you've hit that mark, you're already like old news, which is so strange because the thing that like startups, you know, you got to fail a whole bunch of times before you have something like solid to say or some real insights. And yet we know that. And yet there's still this predominant cult of like under 25 geniuses. Yeah. But it also, the same cult, it's like infiltrated cinema. Yeah. And so it's...
So I don't know, is it really like in the cinema, like the youth of the accomplishments, you know?
It's funny because there also says like you won't make your debut until you're 40. But it's like there's a lot of youth support programs for like under 35 or like in Polish there's like młodzi I film. So essentially they're looking for young talent and focusing mainly on young talent, even though it takes 5-10 years to like make your, you know, your big mark with your calling card film or whatever. So there are paradoxes that exist in this thing, but there is still this like in tech and, you know, in media, it's like to lean on these youthful geniuses. The
golden girl and the golden boy, right? Like you have to find them and you have to put them up front. And I think this is something in the French tech Warsaw, right? That we're doing the podcast for right now. That I try with the team, right? With all our boards, you know, the 8 of us, we try to fight very strongly, you know, against, right? Like, do not follow, right, those big, you know, media titles about the unicorns and about the big, you know, fundraising, and because this is what is good for people to write about, but this is not the reality, because I would rather see 1,000 company, right, of 100 people succeed, right, than that won't be unicorns, right, than actually one company that is a unicorn, right, that has 2,000, you know, like people, because, you know, the synergies and the impact on the markets and so on is totally different. And this is something that you have to say and repeat again and again and again for people to accept, to acknowledge, not to acknowledge, to accept, to acknowledge, right? So there is this, yes, maybe that's true. Maybe it's better to have those people scattered across 1,000 companies, right? That have them all reunited into one, right? Because there is other synergies, other markets, other, you know, other things that can actually be put together. And if you allow me to go back to the AI Act and something you said, right, that, you know, that's very nice, because, you know, from the, you know, American view, like, oh, there is the AI Act, and basically Europe start to litigate, you know, and, you know, regulate first before even having a dominant model, right? You know, straight away. And then everyone is like, oh, okay, so I'm not going to send my product to Europe, you know, because those guys gonna basically kind of, you know, close me down or gonna limit, you know, my performance or whatnot. A couple of days ago, I had the chance to be invited at the French embassy, where we had a breakfast with the ambassador and with the Minister Clara Chapaz of AI and Digital Affairs from France, that came to visit Poland, because Poland is the, you know, they are running the presidency of EU right now, you know, for the, you know, so very important place to be, which is great for us. And she was here, and it was following the AI summit that took place in February, right? The 11th February, we had the AI summit, and it was, you know,
talking France.
Yeah, in France, you know, and companies from all over around the world were invited for this summit, where you try to talk about AI and see how we can, you know, use the forces, right, all together here. And she was saying something that impacted me so much, that, you know, it's so, what she said was so simple, but really, and I'm in tech, and this is something I do on a day-to-day, and I advise people and stuff. And she said it, and I'm like, Walid, you're so dumb, right? Like, really, I was sitting in front of her, we're having that breakfast.
You said to yourself?
Oh yeah, so I've said to myself, I was so dumb, you know, because like it was so clear, right? What she said, what just made sense, right? She was like, listen guys, because we were talking, it was other entrepreneurs around the table that were Polish or not, right? And they were talking about, you know, their product, their project and product, and how AI acts and regulation in Europe sometimes are, you know, the thing that slows down what is happening and so on and so forth, right? And, you know, so I would say that for that breakfast altogether, maybe 70 or 80% of the conversation was around deregulation, right? And so, no, about regulation about really? The regulations in general, right? Like it was, we were very much coming back to it and so on. Very much like when I say
most people are against this, all these regulations?
Everyone was trying to basically touch on the fact that we were trying to regulate way too quickly. And then, it brought this perception that Europe is over-regulated, which is a perception of everyone about everything in Europe, right? Everything is over-regulated. Yeah?
Yeah, you can.
It's kind of something.
There is pros to it too. Like the food is healthier here than it is in
the US. I agree with that. But there's still that perception that is.
Yes, of course.
Okay, it makes your life easier, but then when you need to go fast,
yes,
it slows down things, right? And
accelerate, yeah.
And so everyone was talking about that and so on, right? And then she let everyone finish, right? And the story is that Clara Chapas, before that, she was 10 years with startup. Before that, she was my boss. She was the and I'm not saying that because she was my direct boss, but she was my boss because she was the director of the French tech as an entity, right? And then she became the minister when, the new government got, basically. So she really knows her shit.
Wow.
Right? She knows what she's talking about, right? And she's, my age and so on. So extremely impressive lady. And then she's there and she's like, but guys, we can have the best products in the world, whatever they are, right? But if we as Europeans with a 450 million internal market do not decide proactively to not use ChatGPT, but to use Mistral AI, to not use this and use that, to not buy this, but buy that, then we can have the best product ever, but it will never show on the market because you don't have the users that take the decision to go with you. Now I'm going to confront it to you being American, right? Would any American ever wake up in the morning and say, you know what, I want to buy a car. I'm going to buy a French car. No American would do that, most probably. Very, or any other, or a Chinese car, or whatever. You know what I mean?
Peugeot is not so common,
yeah. I mean, because exactly, right? There is
but
this
then again,
thing.
But it's not like all Americans buy only American cars. There's,
we're talking about the mindset, and when she said it was a lot about the mindset. It was not trying to be, you shouldn't use this or you shouldn't use that. She was like, guys, it's not about the regulation. It's about the mindset. Right? Because you have ChatGPT that is there that you can use, right? But you have actually Mistral AI that has similar, if not better performances for much cheaper. And when she said that, I was like, yeah, man, you're so dumb because this is so straightforward. It's not a problem of the level of the tool or the technology or whatnot, right? It's basically, are we taking the conscious decision to promote what we have locally and that fits to our moral and ethics? Let's do a little bit of futurology here, right? So, within the next, let's say 2 minutes, right? If you can give me basically your view on, of course, here is not a prediction, right? Is what you feel, right? So again, for everyone else, he feels it. It's not the reality. It's not, what you feel, the cinema, industry and the creative, industry will be in the world, because I don't want to, basically just segment it, to Europe or the US, but where it will be in the next 5 to 10 years, right? How do you see it in terms of, we understand from the very beginning that some people will lose their job depending on the productivity that we, of course, and so on. But where do you see all that, coming together, right?
Sure. Lots of people are going to lose their jobs. Lots of new jobs will be made. Those that are holding on to the past with a death grip, holding on to traditional systems, they will be left behind. Those that are open to new hybrid models, new integration of cinema, they'll have a leg up. So now one of my goals, one of the things that I'm trying to do in Poland is to integrate AI cinema into traditional cinema. And I'm talking to the main foundations and organizations in Poland. I'm hosting events, bringing in tech partners, bringing in like insights from the US, from Germany, to basically educate the Polish film industry about what's happening, because there happens to be a resistance. Of course, there's the European resistance we're talking to, but in Poland, there is a resistance by the film industry to some degree, not all across the board. There are lots of people that are advocating, but they're not advocating loud enough. Yeah. And we need to be public and open and outspoken about these things. So it's like the future is hybrid. That's what I believe. Not all actors are going to lose their jobs. Some may, but those that adapt with like new technologies, all of this is going to be hand in hand. So now a filmmakers aren't just filmmakers and storytellers, but they kind of need to be technologists in a way. Yeah. or at least they need to know enough about the technology aspect to work with technology. So that's like my kind of assessment.
Everyone, whatever the markets, the sector they're in, they just have to accept, right? You have at some point, you have those like stages of, grief, right?
Yeah. We're there.
We are there, guys,
Yeah, the death is upon us. The old ways are gone.
Exactly, right? So just accept it, not that accept it, but accept it in a way that is beneficial for you. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if it makes sense, right? Like, accept it in a way that you can basically shape it for it to, be useful to you.
Yeah,
right?
You can't be in denial.
Yeah.
You have to accept it. And you don't have to accept everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Accept and accept something that can be useful to you. And don't accept it like defeated, right? Like, oh, okay, and I'm going to lose everything, and I'm going to be, no, accept it like it's there, it exists, and I cannot go against it. And so I have to play with it, and I have to make it my own, and I have to find a way no matter what. And maybe in your lifetime, and I think our parents didn't have this chance, and we do have, because our parents are, I would say, mostly retired, right? Or, close to,
Actually, my
mine too.
Entrepreneurial parents that should retire,
they never do.
They won't.
Right? Mine works.
If you love what you do, you're not working, right?
Exactly. Absolutely. So my mom works as well, but still, it's still a matter of, we are in a place where people are, from our generation at that moment. So it's really complicated for them. They didn't see, they saw, crisis, right? Financial crisis and, petrol crisis and whatnot. But this one is another story, right? So I would say to our generation and below, right? You have to accept, you have to try to find your way into it, right? To not be left on the side of the road, because it can be brutal.
But now you can invent your own path. You don't have to follow someone else's system. There are paths that you can all invent.
Thank you. That's absolutely that you can. And this is so cherished by the Gen Z and the fact that you create your own path, right? I'm talking like an old dude, a millennial, But it's really, I see it because I have my employees, which I cherish. I really, my core team, I love them, and I love the way that they push things forward. But you can see that they want to do their own way. My job is to allow them, is to find a space for them to do their own way within my frame for it to, push the company forward, right? But I love that about them. And then here, AI, I think it's allowing you that on the bigger scale, right? To find your way, make your own way, but you have to accept it. If you don't accept it before that, it becomes very complicated to wiggle your way within, that market, right? So acceptance, I think, would be our, closing word on this one, right? Yeah.
Accept what's coming, what's here.
Yeah.
But also adjust and like be agile with it.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
And then the folks who take that on will endure, and you make opportunities.
Yeah.
So
So and to basically close it out. So I don't know if you stayed until the end, but if you did, we are so happy you did, to see us basically perish through the process,
just slowly,
getting
a little
like
bit more drunk,
down and down.
Yeah.
I don't know if we are representing friends, but I feel I am, as much as possible, but you can basically also go look for Matt Szymanowski, and I have to say your name now because
you said it amazing.
Because basically, we had to take to have two takes, when you are introducing yourself, due to the cameras. Please keep it in, Anya, so people know. And so you didn't say your name the second time. I didn't want to, stop you. So I want to say it now. So Matt Szymanowski, and you can follow him on social media. You can look at his work, his TEDx talk. I think that can be very, I would say empowering, the way that you bring things up, where we are not trying to shove things down the throat of people, but we're actually trying to, okay, this is what is here. That's a, state of the, that's the situation, and please do whatever the hell you want with it, right? And the other thing is, like, I want to say thank you to Aurélien Delosier, and to Webalian, right? That basically provide us with the studio. And Aurélien is, part of the French tech, and, puts this amazing studio to us, and his team that is right behind the camera, that we, really appreciate each time. And the idea here also, what I want to remind you about the French Tech, right, is exactly this, right? So of course the name is French Tech, Warsaw in this case, because that's the Warsaw, community that is talking here. But it's about tech, it's about Warsaw, it's about people, right? It doesn't really matter if, Matt is, American and Polish and whatnot. What matters is what he has to say. Do we have things in common? French Tech is about 115 communities across the world, across 52 countries, all run by entrepreneurs like myself, and you actually. An art entrepreneur. And those people are there to basically just make it easier for everyone to start things and to open some doors. And so go check it out. Go check what we can do for you. It's all free. We don't ask you for money. We're not paid for that. We just basically want to give back, and we know it will pay forward, because one thing you learn as an entrepreneur is that if you do things with good intention, and truly I could basically really verify that across the last years of my life. When you do things with good intention, right? We don't have this shitty
just give me the money
thing. Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? Just do it, right? Do something that you feel it's the right thing to do. Then I swear to God, it pays forward. It does pay forward. People want to, be part of what you do, and they want to help you. And I think that's the whole idea of the French Tech. And so this is why I'm so honored and so happy that, I could have you, Matt, here today. I knew that our conversation would be epic, and I hope it translates over there, and that my mom would be happy about that. But
I had fun. That's what Matt, I don't know what everyone else is like.
We had fun, yeah.
We're just watching them hang out and drink wine and just shoot the shit. So
let's
cheers.
do that. Cheers. Thank you, guys, and see you soon.